Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pull Up with Limbs and Things. Tonight, I am talking about insurance gems and how we can share that information with someone else. Always pull up with limbs and things is to confirm something you know, to challenge something you don't know, and to be able to share that information with someone else. So, tonight we're talking insurance because I had a personal encounter and I want to make sure that we are all on the same page and aware of some things that are necessary whenever you have an insurance plan. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you when I used to work for different companies, I would continue my notes or just kind of tune out the benefits department when they would come around and talk about insurance benefits that you could have, whether it's health insurance or dental insurance, any of those things. That kind of information just was not something I was interested in. Honestly, in physical therapy school, you don't get a course on billing. It's kind of on the job training that you receive, where you get that information from an expert in billing, or you just outsource that. And for me, with limbs and things, I do my billing. And so I have to know a lot about insurance and a lot about different insurance plans. And so I want to make sure that that information is something that you know as well. So it is open enrollment for Medicare, but also for other insurance companies as well. And so it's a good time for us to review not only the benefit sheet that tells you yourself and the actual fee that it costs, but yourself and your family, or yourself and plus one person, just those numbers. You want to actually look at the detailed plan that kind of gives you all of the information as to how many visits you get a year, if there's a deductible, how much coverage you really receive, if there's supposed to be a certification that happens before you get services. All of those things are so important to know before you decide on which plan you're going to get. So I wanted to make sure that you are aware so that when you're reviewing your plan, when you're deciding which insurance is best for you, that you are looking at the details, not just the amount of what things cost. So, personal experience, I was visiting a healthcare provider. A month later, I received a bill. I do have primary and secondary insurance. And so, with this healthcare provider, I saw that I received a bill. And so if you have a secondary insurer, you're supposed to have the secondary insurer to cover whatever the primary doesn't, right? Okay. So the healthcare provider office, they sent both bills at the same time. So the whole bill was sent to both the primary and secondary providers. When that's done, there's like an estimation that is calculated as to what's going to be paid. And so the secondary insurer thought that the primary covered the whole expense. However, I received the bill and I said, oh, something is wrong here. So I decided to call that office, the healthcare provider's office, and find out some more information as to if they sent my information on to the secondary provider as it should have been done, or if they didn't. And from what I received, the explanation of benefits, it explained that no secondary insurer was submitted. My information was not submitted to them. So I got on the phone and called my secondary insurer, and they told me that there was an what do you call it, an estimation that was done that said that they didn't have to pay anything. And I said, well, I'm sitting here with a bill, and that is determined that that's not true. So let's figure out how we make sure that you pay for this amount and not me. And so I had to get back on the phone with the healthcare provider's office and tell them, please resubmit to the secondary insurer so that they can cover the expense that you're billing me for. So sometimes, as the policy holder, you have to do your own work. A lot of people think that your providers are the one who get, I guess, the royal treatment in contacting insurance companies, but that's really not true. If you are the policy holder, there is more of an opportunity for that insurance company to act on your behalf as a policy holder versus a provider's calling. So always be ready to get on the phone and go to bat for yourself, but also ensure that you don't have to pay for things that your secondary insurer is covering. Now, in terms of physical therapy, you want to make sure that, especially if you have Medicare and a secondary insurer, that you have all of the information needed. So if your secondary is not covering your costs and then you receive a bill from your PT office, that you call them and you make sure that they pay your bill. So it's so important that you know the whole details of your plan, making sure you don't just know how much it costs for yourself and family, or yourself and a plus one, but those fine details that tell you about how many visits you get, if you need a pre-authorization before you see, say, a specialist or a different type of provider than your primary. All of those things are important, especially if you're someone who's more prone to go into an urgent care. All of those things are very important to know in your plan. So, as always, if you are watching, and you can hashtag live, if this is something you're catching on the replay, you can hashtag replay. If you have any questions, you can post them in the comments and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I am not an insurance provider, but I do know a little bit about the billing aspect. So here are some of the notes or takeaways that I want you to know. The details of your primary and secondary insurers, not being afraid to call either the office of your healthcare provider or your insurance company to ensure that payment is made on your behalf. And just knowing that priority is given to the policy holder, not necessarily your provider. So if we call, we'll probably get through a couple of different chains, but as a policy holder, you'll get directly to a customer service representative who will be able to address your claim and do it in a swift manner. So in my case, the secondary provider handled it, but it did take my calling and calling back to that primary care's office to ensure that it did happen. So I want you to be empowered about your insurance coverage. It's important also that you know, in terms of physical therapy, there are some plans that I'm seeing that have a limit as to how many visits you can get a year. And that's calendar year, not just based on when you start or have a problem, but based on the calendar year. So plans that have 60 visits, plans that have 75 visits, all of those things don't necessarily take into account what's wrong with you and how long it could possibly take based on how your body heals, how you are progressing, if there are any issues or life events that may make it so that you don't get all of those visits in. So they're just ways that you want to be aware of, or things that you want to be aware of, so that as you are determining your plan of coverage with insurance, that you get all that you need in the way of coverage. Okay. I'm going to give you a moment. If you have a question or you are live, if you can hashtag live, if this is the replay, you can hashtag replay. But I hope this information has been helpful to you. With me, I think it is a learning experience also, because you have to do it for yourself, but also as a business owner, it is so important that you know all of the ins and outs of insurance coverage, the benefits that different plans afford you, and some of the benefits that aren't so great. So it's important that you are well aware of all of the things that you would have to know and to be aware of when you are determining what coverage you want to receive. So don't be like me, the person who did not pay attention when in the benefits meeting, I was just trying to do my notes so I can get out. But it is so important that you listen so that you are aware of what you are signing up for and that it really covers the things that you need it to cover. Okay. I will end it here. Thank you for taking the time to listen. As always, Limbs and Things is a mobile and telehealth physical therapy practice. We do accept Medicare Part B and TRICARE insurances. That's the insurance companies that we are in network with. However, we are also a provider of those who take out-of-network benefits. And when you are using your out-of-network benefits, you do have to keep in mind that expenses might be a little different, maybe a bit higher. And then there's also the option of cash pay. If people find value in the service you provide, they may find that your cash rate is a better scenario for them than paying out-of-pocket costs. So self-pay, Medicare Part B, and TRICARE, as well as out-of-network benefits are accepted at LimbsNThings. And we are a service provider for physical therapy for aging adults in DC Maryland, and in Virginia. If you are in need of physical therapy services, our number is at the bottom of the screen, but you can call 202-643-2636, or you can send us an email at limbsandthings@gmail.com. And you can also find us online at limbsandthings.com. Thank you, as always, for watching. Again, this is to confirm something you know, to challenge something you don't know, and to give you the opportunity to share this information with someone else. So thanks for tuning in to Pull Up with Limbs and Things. We'll be back next week, same time. Take care. Bye.